brought to you by Ayoko, Africa's leading integrated technology services company. It's time for Tech Talk. Now, various industries demand professional use of Microsoft Excel spreadsheets, and it can get pretty complicated. But not for long. Naspers and other technology investors are betting big on using AI to simplify spreadsheets, saving people and companies a lot of time. Business Day's Mudiwa Gavaza joins us with more insight into the proposed disruption. Mudiwa, thanks so much for your time this afternoon. And I think most people can agree when I say spreadsheets are tedious. Opening up Excel really gives me stress personally, right? But it seems like that won't be the case for long. Many AI agents out there that can make tasks easier. But let's start by, unpacking Naspers' efforts.
Yeah, so it's an interesting one, right? Because when we were hearing from the CEO, Fabrizio Bloisi, as he came into office in July last year, he was really quite bullish around the use of AI.
Yeah.
And, even before his time, internally, Naspers had actually created its own internal platform called Token, which was one of their first forays, to say, okay, fine, we won't necessarily create something that's consumer facing, let's say a ChatGPT or a Gemini, but we'll at least create something internally, that we can use. But over the last couple of months, we've actually been seeing them opening up their checkbook to actually invest in a number of startups, exciting ones, that are AI backed. And this space around spreadsheets, it's actually quite disruptive because of what you just said right now. A lot of people have a lot of anxiety, trying to think about the mountain of work that comes with, doing Microsoft Excel, particularly in fields, such as finance. I mean, if you're a finance professional trying to put together a discounted cash flow or something like that, right? It can be, quite something. And there's actually a number of companies that are working to try and solve this particular space. So, Naspers and Process have become, part of the key companies that are investing in companies such as, Foundation Labs that are working to create an AI agent that will help you, where instead of putting in formulas and all of that stuff, you simply tell the AI agent what you want done. Create me a pivot table, create, this type of graph from this mountain of data, create that, or, pull out these insights from, this sheet and that sheet. So where back in the day you would have to, almost be a coder to really understand, Microsoft Excel. Now you can almost have a dialogue where you're giving simple instructions and it's able to then carry out, the actual work on your behalf.
And this form of AI apps agents is very different to what we know as generative AI, right? So the likes of a ChatGPT, the likes of a Meta AI. Just walk me through some of the differences here, because what we're talking about is an app, an agent that could help you with tasks.
So one of the biggest themes in AI at the moment, and it's probably been the theme for 2025, is what people are calling agentic AI or AI agents, just to put it simply. So not to say that it's different per se from the generative AI, but I would say it's a subcategory, right? Where you're now looking at things more specialized. If you have something like a ChatGPT, a Gemini, a Claude from Anthropic, and any one of those, platforms, they tend to be general. And actually, within them, they tend to use different models to, fulfill whatever task you want done. So in this particular way, we're looking at, very specialized, AI platforms called agents that are specialized to one type of task or a series of tasks. So in the particular example that I'm giving to you, recently Naspers backed Foundation Labs, which I spoke about just now, and they created an AI agent called Shortcut. And all Shortcut does is to work within spreadsheets and especially Microsoft Excel. It doesn't do anything else. And that's the world that people are sort of getting into now to say, instead of, general purpose AI, we will have, yes, we'll have some of those general purpose, but underneath them, whatever platform you have, let's say, for example, if Uber decides that they're going to have an AI agent that just tracks your eating habits and it's making food orders on your behalf instead of you opening the app and that type of thing. So very specialized to one or two, set of tasks.
I have to ask, especially when it comes to performing tasks, Mudiwa, right? You mentioned we talked about the use of spreadsheets and how people in the finance sector would use that. And then I have to ask, how accurate are these agents in performing these tasks? I mean, I'm sure you've spotted errors on the generative side, particularly the likes of your ChatGPT. When you ask ChatGPT a random question and that answer, hey, you're just like, no, man, this does not sound right.
So it's an interesting one. The Shortcut platform that we're talking about, they actually cite that Shortcut is able to solve championship level cases in under 10 minutes with 80% accuracy, 10 times faster than humans. It edits, builds models, and scales fast. And then they also then mentioned that in recent blind studies, against first-year analysts at firms such as McKinsey and Goldman Sachs. Shortcut is said to have outperformed in 89% of cases judged by managers at those firms. And this almost reiterates what we've been saying about AI, for a long time. To say the fact that you still need to have that human in the loop that actually judges what's actually happening. That's the first thing. And second thing is also understanding what it is that the agent is doing. Because for a person to really check the accuracy, you need a person who actually understands how to have put together that thing for themselves. But in this particular case, they just get an agent to do it. So you can go in and actually check the dependencies, you can check the formulas, you can check the tables, you can check all of these different things that a person would have done in a manual sense. So you still need a person that actually understands. However, given the stats that I have just cited for Shortcut, just this one platform on its own, that's actually quite impressive already. And that's the worst it's ever going to be. It will likely improve, beyond this point. And one of the big things that it speaks to, Taoleng, to the point that you're making, is the fact that as much as AI platforms are already good, there's still an element of trust that human beings are still fighting. Just that natural knee-jerk reaction to say, am I 100% sure that I can submit, this piece of work, whatever this task is, am I 100% sure that I can just submit it without checking it? And for now, the advice is check what you can, understand what the agents are doing.
So not necessarily doing the whole task for you, but I guess saving you time when it comes to doing that particular task. Another thing I've found quite interesting in the space, Mudiwa, is that we've been seeing all these big tech players snapping up the smaller startups. Is consolidation something you are expecting to see moving forward? And do you expect the likes of Process to also participate in that?
Over time, yes, I do expect that we will likely see, some of that consolidation. I'll just pick up a couple of the names that the likes of Shortcut are competing against. You have a platform such as Index, which was actually backed by OpenAI, which makes ChatGPT. And then you also have, another platform called Paradigm, that is also there. So you have all of these small startups that are coming up making these specialized, AI platforms and AI agents. And what I estimate is going to happen based on history is the fact that either you have some of the bigger players. So in this particular case, when it comes to spreadsheets, the biggest game in town is Microsoft and Microsoft Excel. And then you then have others. You have, the likes of, Apple has its own platform called Numbers.
Google.
Google has its own platform called Google Sheets, right? And with Microsoft and Google, they already been building in some of that capability into their own AI platforms. But for efficiency, you can actually see a case where if someone is able to do something new and innovative, one of the bigger players either, buying that up so that they can embed it in their own platform where it then becomes native. Those are some of the aspects that I see because that's how we tend to see technology like this actually being taken up and being consolidated. It solves a specific problem, and then you tend to have the bigger players coming in and buying up that particular thing because from a longevity point of view, how long can one of these platforms actually just last being an agent for Excel?
Yeah.
Unless they specialize in creating agents for a number of different platforms. So let's say they then create an agent just for Word, an agent just for PowerPoint, or an agent for an accounting piece of software and stuff like that. But I do see some of these smaller platforms becoming very what's the word? Very attractive for the bigger players in the market, and the bigger players coming to snap them up once they're able to prove themselves,
Yeah.
have gained market share, and have a proven concept.
All right, let's leave it there, Mudiwa. Thanks so much for your time and insights this afternoon. That was Business Days, Mudiwa Gavaza. Brought to you by Ayoko, Africa's leading integrated technology services company.